Welcome to the Life of a Marketer podcast. And today's guest is Chris. Chris is an SEO expert and his company does SEO. But as usual, I'm going to let him introduce himself. Chris, tell us about who you are and what you do.
Thanks so much for having me on the show today. My name is Chris Raulf. I'm originally from Switzerland, moved to Boulder, beautiful Boulder, Colorado in 96, initially for 6 months. I'm still here. I love it here. Started my own business about 12 months ago, had it with corporate America, started as a local SEO, search engine optimization company. And then I think within 3-4 months had the first national clients, then international clients. I'm now one of the, top international SEO experts in the world. If you Google international SEO expert, you'll see my personal website. So we do primarily SEO for our clients. That also means, content marketing, social media as part of SEO, on page, off page, all that good stuff that is needed to get a website to rank at the top in Google. So I've been doing this for quite a long time, got into SEO very early before Google was called Google. They were still called Backrub back then. So it's really a passion turned into a hobby, and then a hobby turned into a job. Still love what I do and hope to do it for a few more years here.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us. I appreciate it. All right. So, Chris, what's the best thing about being in the marketing industry?
Oh man, I have a deep passion for marketing. It's a very psychology-driven field. It's closely related to sales, obvious. So it's always changing. It's not, black or white, in my opinion. I think marketing is a very gray area, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in a way that I think the more you can bring to the table, the more you can be successful with marketing, right? I hope that makes sense, the way I explained that. And then what I love about marketing right now, or particular as it pertains to SEO, AI, right? We all know about ChatGPT, Google Bard, these chatbots that are emerging, like all the AI that is now, impacting marketing. So that's extremely exciting to me. I in fact speak globally how AI is impacting global digital marketing. So I'm thrilled about, the change that we're seeing in marketing and the changes that we'll continue to see over the foreseeable future. Yeah.
Awesome. So what sort of advice do you offer to those that are in the marketing industry right now?
Yeah. Going back to AI again, if you're in marketing, if you're a marketing leader, you need to think about everything that you do and how AI could impact that. You got to take a look at every single process. Is there an AI that you could bring to the table to make that process more efficient? I'm not talking about reducing, laying off a ton of people, but AI truly will give you the opportunity to be more efficient, more successful. So my biggest piece of advice right now, if you're in marketing, you got to think about how will AI impact everything that you do on a daily basis. Try to incorporate AI into your daily processes.
Yeah, that's very good advice. I agree with that advice. Definitely.
Yeah.
We're doing that for sure. I know we don't, we're a little bit more focused on ads than SEO, but definitely we're a friend of mine who does SEO was showing me the other day the kinds of things now that recently was an update to a plugin, or I don't know if it's Chat GPT, and he was just putting in data in, and it was in Chat GPT 4 was telling him what to do with the sites. It's just unbelievable, amazing.
Oh yeah, and we're at the hockey stick effect. We're probably here. So over the next, 2, 3, 4 years, we're gonna see tremendous developments in this space. I mean, I think SEO marketing in general, Google Ads as well, is gonna change completely, and that means like thinking about different platforms, right? How are people going to consume content? How are we as marketers going to be able to get that content in front of the right audience? I'm thrilled about what's happening in our industry.
So I want to just dig in a little bit more with you because we have had different SEO people on the podcast, but we never had someone that was an international expert that works on international
Yep.
campaigns. So we've had local and national SEO people, but never someone that has worked with, an international brand.
Yep.
So what are some differences that if you're working in an international context that you need to be aware of when you're doing SEO?
Okay. Oh man, I love that question. So I used to do consulting with very big companies, like Fortune 500 companies, where, they would hire me, they pay me a good amount of money to meet with their team for like 2, 3 days to train their team on how to do international SEO. Sadly, I think every one of these consulting gigs was not a good investment for that company, because large companies, they have silos, right? They have their departments. They are not willing to work with each other for the common good of getting the website to rank at the top in Google. It's just like I really don't like working with these big companies anymore, because these departments, they're silos. They don't seem to be able to work with each other. So if you're a small, medium-sized business, you will succeed with international SEO if you hire somebody like us, or if you try to do it yourself the right way. There are some nuances when it comes to international SEO versus national, local SEO. It's not rocket science, but you have to do it the right way. Obviously, we don't have enough time for me to explain
Right,
every
right.
detail, but it's really not that hard. You just have to do it the right way. And man, the payoff is tremendous. Imagine right now you're only targeting the US in English. All of a sudden you're going to go into, Germany, Spain, Italy, France, whatever language you're able to, market serve. If you're all of a sudden at the top in Google in these languages as well, tremendous growth opportunity, right? So that's hopefully a big picture answer that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for sharing that. That's something that's very interesting. I've seen some trainings and things like that on if you want to expand your market, go to new places, and
Yeah.
that's very interesting. Would you consider that maybe international SEOs there is a little bit less competitive because some of the reasons that you mentioned with the companies and maybe that not as many companies are doing that?
That's a really good question. So I don't think it's less competitive or expensive, or I think, most companies don't get it right. Most US-based companies, they don't get international SEO right. So they're going to have to hire somebody like us, right, that will help them roll out an international SEO strategy that actually has a chance to be successful. Otherwise, oftentimes international SEO is outsourced to the local team in the respective country, and then it's national SEO, right? Then you compete on a national level with the national competitors in German or whatever it is. So I think there's a lot of benefit in doing international SEO right from a centralized standpoint. It's way less expensive. It's way better coordinated. I think you usually see better results. So it just depends. But in my opinion, if you are a mid-size company here in the US, I would try to implement international SEO from a centralized standpoint, taking advantage of the in-country resources available to you. That's what we usually do with our clients.
Awesome. Very good. Thanks for sharing those details. It's really interesting information.
Yeah.
I think it will be for our viewers as well. Switching gears a little bit, what are some other successful people in marketing like yourself that you'd like to acknowledge that should be on the podcast?
Oh man. So a good friend of mine, been a client of ours in the past. Her name is Candy Fisher. I hope she forgives me mentioning her name here. She's a generalist marketer. She's not like a growth marketer. She can take company from like, pretty small, help them grow. So she's somebody that I'd like to recognize here. Then in my industry, there's people like Rand Fiskin, a former owner or founder of Moz, a tool that many people in the SEO industry know. Glenn Gabe, he's a pioneer in the SEO industry. He has his own business, more a technical SEO firm that he really gets SEO. He was on Google. Google actually invited him to talk about technical SEO. Barry Schwartz, he provides the SEO industry with up-to-date information. He's a very well-known face in the industry. So those are like four people that I highly admire in the marketing and SEO space.
Awesome. All right, cool. All right, so we got one more question, one final fun question, just for fun. Tell me the oldest technology you remember using.
Gosh, so as a kid, probably the bike. Move forward faster. Got me a few band-aids all over the place here. But then probably back in my day, search engines, right? That was a big thing when they started to emerge back in the mid 90s. Email, way back when I started my professional career, the company that I used to work for, they had an internal email called Memo. You could only talk internally to employees, and all of a sudden there was the internet, and you could message with other people outside of the company. I remember sending my mom a birthday telegram when I moved here, to the Boulder area in mid 90s. Nowadays, nobody uses telegrams anymore. Fax. We used to get advertisements via fax machines back in the day. So there's a few of the technologies that I come to mind as you ask this question.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
The bike, that's a very, that's an old technology.
Yeah.
I think the very first podcast we did, I just for fun just interviewed my mom, who isn't in marketing or anything, but she answered that the oldest technology she remember using was a pencil. So I was like, ha ha ha, mom, that's
So true. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. And so their first answer, that was a good answer. That's
cool.
an interesting answer. All right. Well, we'll keep our podcast short, Chris. So we're gonna end here. Thanks so much for being on the podcast. Everyone, you can catch our podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I recommend you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to subscribe to the podcast and get it sent to an email, you can email me directly, jared@hiveleadmarketing.com. And if not, we stream it on social media. So it's Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 something. You can catch us all across the different social media platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. Please like and subscribe. We want our podcast to get out to as many people as possible, and we would appreciate it if you did that. This has been the Life of a Marketer podcast. Thanks once again, everyone.